Sure. My basketball journey, so I played basketball in high school, played, varsity letter winner, etc. I went on to play club level in college at Monmouth. One of our highlights I remember, we went to Boston University. We had a big tournament up there. We did pretty well with that. And after I graduated, I was doing my student teaching back at my original high school where I went, and my coach had transitioned. He went from being the head boys coach to being the head girls coach, and he said, "Hey, if you're ever interested in, getting involved, volunteer." So I volunteered there for 2 years with that team. Learned some of the ins and outs of coaching, how to go through stuff from someone I considered a mentor who coached me when I was there. And then when I got the job at Old Bridge here, the opportunity presented itself. At the time, Mr. Domino, the athletic director, he was one of the coaches, and I knew him from back in the day. He played at the high school near me, so we knew each other. And he said, "Hey, you want to be involved in coaching here?" And I said, "Sure, I'd love to." So I got in. I was the JV coach for a number of years, freshman for a little bit, now the assistant varsity. And it's a rewarding experience to be able to teach the game that you care about. The struggles I think a lot of players face turning into coaches is, you're not playing the game anymore. You have to use your chess pieces to kind of make things happen. You can think the game still, but you can't physically go out there and do it. And coaches are control freaks, and they like to be in control, and they like to be able to influence things. So there's a learning curve to being able to step back and say, all right, I have to lead from the sideline, and I have to hope my players are learning what I'm teaching them.
Where did you get it from?
My coaching style, I would say, is kind of a composite of all the people that I've come across and met coaching, met playing. I guess you'd call me a little bit old school. I can be tough, I can yell. I do believe that I think the other part of me that's important is I'm a teacher, as well. So I try to teach the game. It's not my goal to ever, yell, but I also understand that, we want to win, and there's a competitive side to things. And sometimes you have to push people beyond what they think they can do. And maybe sometimes you have to be a little tougher than not. But also you have to understand your players, and you have to know what style is going to work best to get the best out of them, and you have to adapt accordingly. The upcoming school season is going to be very interesting. We have 3 new coaches, including a new head coach, and Coach Jared Meyer, who's a former player for Old Bridge. I think it's going to be very interesting because we had 4 of our main players graduate last year and move on, 2 of which are playing in college at this point, I believe. And we have a lot of young kids. So I think we're going to work very hard. I think we're going to play very tough. I wouldn't want to speculate on the wins and losses, because with a young team, you just don't know sometimes. And I think we could have what we would call a successful season coming off of, seniors graduating without necessarily maybe having a great win total, if that makes any sense, right? And I think you have to adjust expectations accordingly when you're moving off of a lot of veteran players and you're bringing in new players to fill those roles and learn the game that way.
Mindset this year?
The players' mindset this year, I think just be open. Our new head coach is trying to implement some new systems, some new ways of doing things that maybe are a little different than they had last year when they played. Some of the freshmen that are coming up from Coach D'Amico haven't seen the JV or the varsity level at all, so hopefully they have, kind of an open mindset to how things are going to be. And I always, as I said with players, they may not know how hard it is they have to work, or they may not know what it takes to do a certain thing. They may not understand the ins and outs of winning, and they just keep an open mind, trust the coaches. I tell players, and not to sound like the old man here, but I've been coaching now for almost 20 years, so I've seen a lot. And I've seen all the kids, all the different kinds of players and all the different kinds of students. So I feel pretty confident when I say, hey, we want to try to do it this way, that my experience has shown me that's the good way to do it. The improvements I would say we would want to make this year, just continue to work hard, continue to pick up the new systems. It's very early in the process. We're just through day 1 of tryouts right now. Next week we'll get into actual practice and kind of see where we're going to be at, going forward. We've had summer workouts, we've had fall workouts, but now we're into the season, and now it's going to be interesting to see how it all comes together when certain players are playing their JV minutes versus their varsity minutes, and we're playing with different rosters, and now, the games really matter. It's not that you don't want to win in the summer leagues and the fall leagues, but now these are the real deal season that we're going to be judged by. So we want to make sure, we're ready to go there. The teams that we always want to beat everybody if we can. over the years, it used to be that we desperately wanted to take care of East Brunswick every year. And I think we'd still like to take care of East Brunswick when we do see them. Monroe over the last bunch of years has been a bit of a rival for ours. They're very well coached. They play very hard, no matter the talent level they have. But I think it's most of those players over those teams, South Brunswick's, Monroe's, they've all graduated a lot of their cores, and now we just graduated ours. So everybody's kind of starting fresh. I will be interested to see what the rivalries and the competitive kind of go back and forth between the teams are now with so many new players coming into the mix.